All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to follow the journey of monitoring and evaluation, or M&E, all the way from a simple pen and paper to the super complex world of artificial intelligence.
This analogy really just nails it. It gets to the very heart of why M&E is so incredibly important. Without good data, you're not just flying blind, you're basically lost at sea, with no map, no compass, and no idea where you're even trying to go.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the why, the absolute basics of M&E. Then we'll get into the common headaches organizations run into. And finally, we'll look at the seriously cool, cutting-edge tools that are changing the game right now.
Okay, let's start at the very beginning. M&E isn't just about crunching numbers for a report. It's about actually knowing if what you're doing is making a real difference and having the proof to show for it. And that's the crucial point, right? Good data does so much more than just measure things. It actually helps you define what success looks like and communicate it. It lets you tell these powerful, compelling stories of real change and real impact to the people who matter most. It turns all that hard work into something tangible. All right, let's crack open the traditional M&E toolbox. These are the classic foundational methods that have been the bedrock of this work for decades. And you know what? They are still incredibly relevant today. First up, we've got surveys. Honestly, think of these as the Swiss Army knife of M&E. They're just so versatile. They're absolutely perfect for casting a wide net, gathering that hard quantitative data, and just getting a feel for what a large group is thinking. Next up, interviews. Now, if surveys give you the what, interviews, well, they give you the why. This is how you go deeper. It's how you peel back the layers and really understand the personal stories and the human experiences behind all those numbers. And then there are focus groups. This is where you bring people together. You get them talking. And it's in that dialogue that you uncover those shared experiences and community-wide perspectives. It's where you find that collective spark that you might totally miss in a one-on-one chat. But what happens when these tried-and-true methods go digital without a real strategy? Well, things can get messy, fast. Let's take a look at a real-world example of what we could call tech sprawl. Get this. A survey at the global humanitarian organization Mercy Corps discovered that some of their country teams were juggling, on average, 7 to 8 different digital tools just for data collection, analysis, and visualization. And the result of that? Total chaos. We're talking about major privacy and security risks. People wasting time both in the field and back at headquarters. Money just being thrown away on tools that did the same thing. And maybe worst of all, the data itself was fragmented and messy. You just couldn't trust it to make big decisions. So, the solution isn't to just throw your hands up and use fewer tools. Nope. It's about building a smart, integrated ecosystem where you pick the right tools for the right jobs and they all work together like they're supposed to. I mean, think about that first huge leap from paper to digital. The advantages were, well, they were massive. You go from this slow, clunky, error-prone paperwork to getting data in real time with way better quality and security. It's a no-brainer. And here's what that modern workflow actually looks like. It's pretty slick. Data flows from an app like CommCare out in the field, then it gets cleaned up and organized using some powerful tools inside Excel, and then, bam! It's transformed into these dynamic, interactive dashboards in Power BI for the people who need to see it. Now, here's a really important thing to get. Excel and Power BI aren't competitors here. They're partners. They're a team. Excel, which most people already know how to use, does all the heavy lifting behind the scenes, the cleaning, the modeling. Then it hands off that perfect, clean data to Power BI, which turns it into these powerful visual stories that anyone can click through and understand. So this whole digital ecosystem, it's all building towards the next big thing, artificial intelligence. So let's dive in and explore both the incredible promise and, just as important, the very real pitfalls of using AI and M&E. So take natural language processing, or NLP. The potential is huge, right? It could analyze thousands of written comments in an instant, saving so much time. But, and this is a big but, it really struggles with complex sentences, and even more critically, it only works well for a very small number of languages, mostly European ones. Or how about this? AI that can identify objects in photos. Super cool for tracking supplies in a crisis. A field worker snaps a photo of a delivery and boom, it's logged. The catch? The AI can't tell you if those supplies are damaged or if it's even the exact right model. For that, you still need a human eye. And then there's facial recognition.
You can see the appeal. Automatically tracking attendance at a training seems great, but this is where we have to be really careful. The technology has a major bias problem. It's notoriously bad at recognizing diverse faces because the databases used to train it often lack people from minority communities. That's a massive technical and ethical red flag. So, with this entire universe of tools, from a humble paper form all the way to a complex AI algorithm, how in the world are we supposed to make the right choice for our programs?
Ultimately, here's the big takeaway. The technology is just a vehicle. It's not the destination. The whole goal is to pick the right tool that actually aligns with your specific mission, your team's skills, and the reality of the situation you're working in.
And that leaves all of us with a critical question to consider on any project. Remember, the Flashies tool isn't always the best one. The right tool is the one that gets you the reliable data you need to actually make a real difference.
Because in the end, M&E isn't really about the technology itself. It's about using that technology to foster a real, meaningful conversation between everybody involved, a dialogue about building a better, more effective, and more equitable world.